What is going on, guys? I'm going to try something new here this week. My videos for This Week in Tigers Baseball have been like a half hour long, and I feel that, that's just way too long to be making a video. And for you guys, the viewers, I'm sure you don't enjoy sitting through 25 to 31 minutes of me rambling. I'm going to try to get back to more of a classic style in my videos and try to keep these things no more than 15 minutes long. So I'm going to force myself by doing that today by using a video software that means I only have 15 minutes to get this done. So tell me what you think. Do you like this way better, where the videos are going to be either 15 minutes or shorter, or do you like the old classic style where I pretty much ramble for a half hour and talk about everything in complete detail? Today I'm just going to paraphrase. So without further ado, let's get on to it. This series with the Kansas City Royals. I touched on the start of it last week, how Alfredo Simon, he got hit up pretty hard by the Royals, and he was lucky that it was only an 8-1 loss. So how did the Tigers follow that up in Game 2? Chris Young was making the spot start because Edison Volquez was serving his suspension for that brawl that happened. And what happens? Chris Young has a near no-hitter. And in this game, the Tigers loaded the bases 2 times. They ended up walking the bases full. Chris Young walked the bases full. He gets out of it without a hit. Kelvin Herrera's on in the 8th inning. Bases loaded for Miguel Cabrera. 2 outs. Yet again, they don't get anything out of it. Chris Young, of all people, I know Chris Young was good last year, but Chris Young, of all people, and you lose 4-1 and nearly get no hit. They had a combined no-hitter going into the 8th inning, and Castellanos got a hit to break it up and ended up getting a run. But it was a pathetic game. So we're already down 2-0 in the series. You lose the first game in a blowout, and then you lose the second game on a near no-hit bid. Not a great way to start the series. So Game 3, David Price comes out. And what happens? What does David Price do? He plays ace. He plays stopper. Price finally gets his complete game. He had 2 outs in the 9th, no runs, and Lorenzo Cain came up and absolutely murdered a ball into the left field. He crushed it. Price ended up getting the 3rd out right after that, so it didn't matter. So I actually got to thank you, David Price. It was a win-win for me. Tigers get a bounce-back win, and Lorenzo Cain gets a home run, and they still win. So I won on my fantasy aspect, and I won in the Tigers aspect. So a little bit of selfishness there by me. So looking to salvage the series with a split. And in Game 3 of the series, Anibal Sanchez went up against Jeremy Guthrie, and the Tigers had some outstanding swings off of Jeremy Guthrie this game, and Anibal Sanchez looked absolutely outstanding. So he's finally starting to come back around, thank God, because he was getting hit up there for a little bit, and him and Jeff Jones went over some things, and they realized, his delivery was off, his stride was off, something in his mechanics with his bend in his knee was off. And since that day, he's been awesome. He's been really, really good. 3 consecutive really good starts. He gave up 3 earned runs. The wheels started to fall off a little bit for him in the 7th. You could tell he was fatigued, but Gresolani came out, did great work, and Joakim Soria, my goodness, we're gonna touch on him too in this video. Came out, got another save, locked it down. So the Tigers managed to split in this series. And overall with the Royals, they're proving that they're not going to take the Tigers lightly. They are the American League champs. They don't care that the Tigers won the division the last 4 years. And if you have any question about their doubts of sustainability for success, this series should have wiped it away. They destroy you the first game 8-1, nearly no-hit you with a spot starter in Game 2. It took your ace in Game 3 to get you a stopper win, and Anibal Sanchez, who's been pitching extremely well, get you that win as well. So don't take the Royals lightly this year. That is going to be an interesting series the entire year. The Tigers and Royals the last 3 years have locked up. Even when the Royals weren't playing good baseball, they locked up and they always played each other tough. And this series just proved that with their offense is absolutely insane. Mike Moustakas is having a great year. He's learning to took the ball the other way more than ever in his career this year. Eric Hosmer's having a great year with the stick. Kendrys Morales is hitting home runs again. He's been absolutely outstanding. And they're minus Alex Rios, and they've been minus Lorenzo Cain. They were minus Lorenzo Cain for a couple of games. They had Gerard Dyson out there, and Alex Gordon, he's not hitting as well as he should. So you got that, and they're both their rotation hasn't been that great, but they're still competing with the Tigers because they didn't have Greg Holland in the bullpen. And what happens with the Royals? So now they got Ryan Madson. Now they got Kelvin Herrera, Wade Davis. They got Chris Young coming out of there. Let's just give him Luke Hochevar back. He came back from Tommy John surgery last night. It's not fair. The Royals' bullpen is so good. They're great defensively. They're offensively a great team as well. The only thing that's in question is their rotation. And they're still getting around that. They're a quality team, so don't sleep on the Royals. So, excuse me. After that, they headed off to Chicago. And in Game 1 against the White Sox, Jeff Samardzija went up against Shane Green. And Shane Green, yet again, got hit up. Now, I know I said in my last video that we shouldn't be concerned yet unless he came out and had another clunker. You know, diving into Shane Green's numbers a little bit, opponents over his last 3 starts are hitting 400 off of him. They're getting on base at a 517 clip. And they're slugging 720. So pretty much anything he's throwing up there is getting crushed. Green, you know, I really watched him close last start. And, you know, he's leaving his, you know, before he was burying that slider in the zone, getting guys to chase. You know, and he was pounding that four-seamer up. And, you know, he was getting that sinker down. But Green, his slider was just not there. You know, Jack Morris was on the call, and he called it a washing machine slider where it just spins. It doesn't have any break. You know, he wasn't really getting it. He had no depth, no bite on his slider. You know, his fastball command was not good. I mean, he's walked 10 hitters over his last 4 outings. You cannot walk, and two of the outings were 4 walk outings. He had 4-2-0-4 over his last 4 starts. You can't walk that many guys and expect to have any kind of success in the big leagues, especially considering his strikeout rate was at 9.1 last year, and this year it's at 5.6 per 9. You're walking all those guys. You're not striking out nearly as many. He's only had 1 start this year where he struck out over 5, which was his 3rd start where he struck out 8. You can't go out there and keep doing that. So that's what I noticed. You know, diving in the numbers, you know, hitters, he ain't fooling anyone right now, but based off what they're slashing. His command with the slider hasn't been good. Lefties have been hitting him up a little bit harder over his last couple of starts. So that shows me that his changeup and slider just aren't pitches he has the feel for right now. His command hasn't been good. He's been walking a lot of guys. When you walk 10 guys, you have that many guys on base on you. That's just, it's not a recipe for success. And Jeff Samardzija, who got absolutely destroyed last time out. You know, the Tigers got a couple of runs off him early, but, you know, Green gave right back. So it is what it is. It just wasn't a good outing by Shane Green. So then we go to Game 2 in the series, and my goodness, I was so livid. Fast forward to the 8th inning of this game. Jobber Chamberlain comes out. The Tigers are up 6-3. Jobber retires the first 2 hitters he faces. Fine, good, great. Follows that up with 2 singles in a row. So you got runners on the corner with 2 outs. Melky Cabrera's up to the plate. Right then and there, Brad Ausmus should have had his ass yanked out of the ball game. Why? 2 outs, runners on the corners, tying run at the plate, Melky Cabrera's up. Melky Cabrera, as a left-handed hitter this year, was hitting .369. You know what he's hitting from the right side of the plate? .074. So Chamberlain already had given up 2 hits. And what does he do? He lets him pitch to Melky from the side of the plate he's hitting .369 from. Doesn't flip him around to the side he's hitting .074 where he had 2 hits and like 40 at-bats. And what happens? Throws a slider up there, nothing on it, and Melky deposits it to the seat. All right, inning over, the ball game's tied. Time to take Job out, right? Nope. After 3 straight hits, Ausmus leaves him out there. Jose Abreu gets a single. Adam LaRoche gets a single. 5 straight hits off of Jabba. Doesn't take him out. After 5 straight hits. So you don't, and Blaine Hardy's been warmed up this entire time. I understand whatever, you gave up the home run to Melky. You want him to face the righty. Why'd you bring Hardy in to face the righty? Whatever. That's understandable. Even though he shouldn't have been in there in the first place, Melky should have been the last out because you flipped him over from the right side. So 5 straight hits. Avisail Garcia comes up to bat. He gets the go-ahead single after Jabba started the inning out with 2 outs. Then he decides to bring out Blaine Hardy. They pinch hit Connie Gillespie for Gordon Beckham. And Beckham gets out, Hardy gets out Beckham on 3 pitches. Are you kidding me, Brad Ausmus? Are you kidding me? You had a 3-run lead going into the 8th inning. Jabba had already gave up 2 straight hits, and you are going to elect to keep a guy who was awful in the second half, who isn't really out to his best start ever this year with the Tigers either, so proving that his first half last year is potentially a fluke. You elect to keep him in after 2 straight hits, to let Melky hit from the left side of the plate where he hits 369 instead of spinning him around to a side he's got 2 hits all year. And if that's not bad enough, after Melky hits the home run, you let him stay in there again and get his head beaten more to give up 3 more straight hits. And it costs you a game you should have won. And yesterday was one of the most dominating performances I've ever saw to Joakim Soria. After the night before debacle, he brings out Joakim Soria for a 4-out save. When he had 2, you already given up the lead. Why didn't you bring out Soria then? To try to get the last out. Or when you had 2 outs to face Melky. If you're going to have a right-hander out there, at least have your best one with the lead intact to try to get the 4-out save. You did it the night before. That was one of the worst losses I saw this year, and it was one of the most pitiful displays of bullpen management I have ever seen. You leave a guy out there who's not that good to get his head beat in. You don't flip Melky around to begin with, and then after you let him hit the home run, you let Jabba stay out there even longer to give up the lead. I mean, how many hits and how many flat sliders does he have to throw for you to remove him? How many? Because I don't know. And he was putting it on a tee. There was nothing on these pitches. His command was awful. But you left him out there, and it cost the Tigers a win. And I was livid after this game. If you follow me on Twitter, you would have saw. I was not happy, and I'm still not happy about it. That was one of the worst displays of bullpen management. Leland used to get chastised for his bad management, particularly that one game in the ALCS when Ortiz hit that grand slam. But that was awful. The numbers were there. Melky's not a good right-handed hitter. Jabba had already given up 2 straight hits. You had the lefty waiting in the bullpen. It was bad managing. Bad managing. Awful. So Kyle Lobstein comes out the very next day, pitches 7 2/3, really strong innings. And a couple guys get on. There was only one time where Lobstein was in trouble. He had the bases loaded, no outs, and he got out of it unscathed. He was absolutely outstanding. So, he gives up a hit in the 7th after 2 outs, or in the 8th after 2 outs. Soria comes on and strikes out the next 4 hitters. Dominating performance. Absolutely dominating. His cutter was just darting. He had the curveball working. The fastball looked outstanding. Great location. And it was his second 4-out save ever. I think his second since like 2008 or 2009. He looked absolutely outstanding. And Soria has done nothing but an outstanding job. Like I said, it sucked that we lost Nathan from a depth standpoint. Because now you have Jabba Chamberlain out there giving up 6 straight hits before Auspice yanks him out. But the fact that, when he came in last year, everyone was kind of down on Soria. Like, oh, he sucks. Look what he did. He was hurt. This year, you're seeing what a healthy Soria can do. And a healthy Soria has been outstanding. So he's been absolutely awesome. And the Tigers, Lobstein's done absolutely amazing work for the last couple of starts out, filling up for Verlander. And speaking of Verlander, he has been cleared to resume throwing to start his rehab. So it's probably going to be another month before Verlander's back, barring any setbacks, but absolutely outstanding news. Verlander has been cleared to throw. He will resume throwing activities again in his process to start his rehab. So Verlander's on his way back. Soria's been great. Let's preview this week real quick. The Tigers open up a 3-game set at home against Royals. Price against Ventura, Sanchez against Guthrie, Green against Vargas. And then the rest of the week, you got the Twins coming in for 3, Simon versus Gibson, Lobstein versus Alaska, Price versus Pelfrey, and then they go on the road to face St. Louis for a short 3-game road trip. So that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed these shorter videos and whatnot. If you think I should start making the longer videos again where I discuss everything super in depth, let me know. This was kind of like the Cliff Notes version of it. I think it's better for you guys. You don't have to watch a nearly as long video. And it's just, I think it'll help my view count a little bit, attract more people instead of me just rambling forever. So, have a good one, guys. Go Tigers. And Brad Ausmus, that was pitiful managing.